That's nice to hear.
From some guy old enough to be your dad.
Totally.
Oh shit, we're live. Okay, let's just go with it. We're here. Talking about some creepo that forget what that guy's name, otherwise I'd call him out. All right. We're here. Hello and welcome. We are Kate and Tanner Wendell. Thank you for tuning in. We continue the exploration of the 29 questions for the ordinary life. And today's question is, are you in choice? Today's question is not, are you in choice? Today's question is, am I in choice? But we'll ask it in a direction towards you. Are you in choice? Take it away, babe.
Well, this, I think, is like almost summing up all the chapters prior to what we've been talking about, right? I mean, we've really just...
because then it goes into section 2. Tomorrow starts section 2, which is personal growth questions.
Yeah.
So that would make sense that, Donald Trump, Mother Teresa, and Gumby. That's the title of the next chapter. That sounds
tomorrow.
Great. Yeah. But you're right. I think it sums things.
Yeah, like everything that we've been talking about as far as how we go into life, it is about our choice, right? I mean, it's just I feel like this was just a great way to kind of sum up everything. Many studies show that your choices and the attitudes, where we were talking about attitudes yesterday, and the attitudes around those choices determine the speed and look of your aging process. So yeah, I mean,
what does it say? Just because you're an angry young man doesn't mean you have to turn into a grumpy old bastard.
So Billy Joe Armstrong, musician from what the heck is his band? Now I'm forgetting.
I have no idea. I'm not the musically person here.
I know, and I am. And
P.S. While we grab our thoughts here, because we started a little abruptly, please drop us a comment. Let us know where you're coming in from, what you're up to, and a happy Easter Eve to all as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm totally drawing a blank. Anyway,
doesn't matter.
He says, though,
get to the quote.
Right. The quote is, I think it's your own choice if you turn from an angry young man to a bitter old bastard. So there you have it. And
it is your choice if you turn from an angry young man to a bitter old bastard.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. You could as
Knoxville, Tennessee in the house. What's up, Tessie? I could have turned into a bitter old bastard.
Yeah,
I was an angry young man.
And I was going to say, like, where we are in our youth, you can totally either go right or left and just say, hey, I'm going to take a different path from where I've been and be able to improve.
That's not a political comment.
No, I didn't mean that as a political comment at all. I meant it more just like you're in a fork in the road, right? So it's like, here I am, and maybe I'm not really, as a youth, you're not loving the situation, like your life, and you have a certain attitude that's not super positive in life, and you can continue that and go into old age with that, or you could say, you know what, I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to not become the bitter old bastard. And what I also like is that he gave this example of a friend of his who she lost her son in an accident, and
5 years old.
5-year-old son. His name was Kevin, and Carla is the mom. And I mean, quite frankly, there's a lot of tragedy in the world. I think one of the worst things is for a parent to have to lose their child. And I know people who have been in this situation, and you can take it going at the fork in the road. Do I carry that pain and stop living life and live in depression and in anger and hate over what happened? Or do I accept what has happened and go in down a path of just peace, acceptance, love? And that's what this woman, Carla, did. And so she ended up, because she decided not to follow like she grieved, of course, right? You have to go through that process. We certainly don't dismiss that at all. Like everyone needs to have the emotions around something like this and have that time. But then you have to say, okay, now I'm choosing to get up and get out of bed and live life. And because of that, she wrote a book, Dreaming Kevin: The Path to Healing. So if anyone is grieving right now and maybe just looking for some guidance and help, this is a great. We haven't read the book, but it's referenced here. That might be a great resource for you. Dreaming Kevin: The Path to Healing. And that she has now also become the editor-in-chief of Living with Loss magazine. And she's grown spiritually. She's found life purpose because she lost her son,
And it says she's affected thousands of people.
Yep.
Right. So if you think about that, she lost one and gained thousands. Now, I understand that there is, and certainly we wish to never be in that situation. But we do have a friend, Eric, who lost his daughter and likely would not have had the impact on the world that he already has and will continue to have had that not happened. So this isn't like she's an anomaly, something, blah, 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 right? Like we know people that have done this and there are stories like this that are out there. And I think, I think unfortunately for most of us, we don't experience enough pain to move into greatness. And I know that might seem like, oh, you don't know my story or I've got all this pain. But the reality is, and we talked about this in an earlier show, that you only move out of your current circumstance and your current situation for one of two reasons. And it's either because the pain and the fire in your life has gotten too hot and too hard, or because you catch such a dream and such a vision that you go running towards creating something else. And I'm pretty sure that everybody that I know in my own experience, the only reason that we moved out of mediocrity was because of pain. And it takes a little bit to continue to move from pain before you catch a vision as to where you want to go and move forward. I would imagine the same thing is with this woman in here. Like, her son didn't get run over and then she woke up one day and was like, oh, I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to start this magazine, or I'm going to have thousands of followers. And, like it was probably her moving out of her own pain and recovering from her own loss and grieving in her own way that led her to connect with other people, that led her to write a book, that then led into this magazine series.
It's a process. Yeah. And the thing is I actually have known people over the years who have had that grief and that loss, and they haven't moved themselves into a positive direction. And you know what? It affects not only them, but so many people around them. And not for the great. So it can destroy families, and it really is just unfortunate, that's something that people, can't get past, right? I mean, because it really does end up doing a lot of damage, more than what we probably think could happen, So yeah.
I was just going to say, it's that, like I was referencing with stacking thoughts yesterday, right? Yeah. Which is, I still don't remember where I heard that, but I'll think about it if I don't have to just sit here with the camera staring at me. But it's the same thing, right? Like it's literally, we know the downward spiral, and it's tough because it's hard to be on the outside of the situation and attempt to encourage somebody that's been in that, that lost a child or lost a spouse or parent or whatever, right? Like we all experience loss and grief. And I think that's the important thing to keep in mind, is that we all experience loss and grief. We all have people in our lives that die. We all have bad shit that happens. We all at some point are going to lose a job, transition from a job, transition out of a relationship, lose a pet, whatever it is, like we all experience loss and grief to some extent and in our own way. It can be very challenging, though, to be on the outside of somebody's situation and attempt to encourage them to, see the light and make the best out of it. But just know that if you are in that situation and you're unable to move forward, that it is a downward spiral because you become negative and you have a poor outlook on life, and your thoughts and your words likely reflect that, which mean that people don't want to spend a lot of time around you, which means that ultimately you start to lose the support system in your life. And this, my friends, is where the downward spiral and how a downward spiral works, which is that you had one bad situation. Let's say you lost your job, right? You lose your job, very apropos right now. You lose your job and you become negative about it, and then you complain about it, and then you get complacent, and then you feel stuck, and then you don't start looking for other work, and then you believe that, like, I'll never have as good a job, or I'll never have this, or I can't do anything else because I was at that job for 15 years and I don't have any other skills, and right? We all know what happens to a snowball when it starts rolling downhill. It can turn into an avalanche. So that's how it can work. And it also works the other way, right? I lost my job. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go volunteer and get outside of myself and do something else for other people because maybe I can't find a job right now. Wow, I volunteered and then I met some other people. And because I met those people, I got into this other situation. And then I found this group of friends and blah, 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 blah. I mean, like, that's literally how we that's how we met, right? I got divorced, which meant I got into fitness and taking control of my health, which means I started going to fitness classes. And then I went from fitness classes to working out outside at Red Rocks. And then I saw a group of people there that I was like, whoa, that looks cool. And I saw them a lot of times. And so I had the courage to go up and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Can I join? And then I joined. And because I joined that, I met somebody else. And then because I met her, she attempted to hook me up with her friend who got me into personal development, who, like boop, 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 boop. And I can trace it back now and say, because very painful situation in my life occurred called divorce and custody battle, all of these other things happen because I just decided, like, well, I guess my life isn't working out the way that I thought it was going to now. So I guess I'm going to do something different. And I'm going to start having healthier habits in my life. And that's like a 10, 12, 15 step process, from one activity to one person to another to this seminar to that thing before we even met.
And you know what? It actually, although different scenario.
Oh yeah.
I'm blown away by how I ended up at the seminar, the same seminar that Tanner was at.
2 people had to die. Tell the story.
Mm-hmm. 2 people had to die. So long story short on that story is I was in a relationship and he couldn't commit to marriage. I had a great relationship with him, but it was stuck. Right. So I'm like, okay, what's going to fix this? So I found out about a business opportunity that I was like, you know what? I think this will either help me with a breakup or it's going to help our relationship. And so I chose that business opportunity, and ultimately it helped me through a breakup. And so I went full into that business, connected with a lot of people. So I had a great support system.
Just say it. It was network marketing.
Oh yeah, it was network marketing.
It was an MLM.
It was an MLM.
It was one of those pyramid schemes.
Yeah. We're in those pyramid schemes anyway, as we all are. So, but yeah, so I had a good group of community there. And then because of that, I was at a seminar where I heard another guy speak at the seminar, and I was like, I want to go to his seminar. So I signed up for his seminar. And then in that time, I got called for jury duty. So I called the seminar people and I was like, I can't come. I got to go to jury duty. And it turns out it was one of the biggest cases in New York City, 2 wrongful death civil case that 2 people died. And I got chosen for the jury. And at the time, they said it was only going to be 3 months. So I was like, okay, so I'll go to that seminar. They only do it twice a year, in the fall and the spring. So I was signed up for the fall. I was on jury duty. They're like, we'll put you in the spring. Cool. So next year, go to the spring. Turns out it was longer than a 3-month trial. And I was still on the trial. So then they're like, well, we'll push you back to the next fall. So literally a year later from when I was supposed to go to that seminar, I finally go.
You were on jury duty for like 6
months,
which is absolutely, everybody that hears a story is like, what?
Yeah. And
like 6 days seems like a long time on jury duty.
Yeah. It was like 2 weeks of just jury selection. 2 weeks of jury selection. It was supposed to be a 3-month trial. I was on for 6 months. The trial itself actually lasted 10 months. I ended up getting dismissed with health issues. So I did not finish out the trial. However, 10-month trial, longest civil trial in New York City history. And
during that time, we were like, oh yeah, I'm going to find my husband because of this.
Right. Like the amount of stress of doing my full-time radio gig and being full-time on jury duty. It was just a madness. It was just a crazy schedule. But I signed up for the seminar. They wouldn't give me my money back. I'm
chunk of change, couple grand.
Yeah,
right?
It was a couple grand, right? So I was like, I'd like to have my money back. I wasn't even excited about going. I'm like, God, man, I went to see this guy speak like a year and a half ago. I don't even remember what he even talked about. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But a year later, I finally go because I'm not going to get my money back, and I meet Tanner. So, and I
take that one step further, though. It's not like we just met at that weekend. Mm-hmm. It was because that weekend, if you've ever been to, really any seminar that I've been to, there's generally always an offer made at the end of the seminar. And a lot of people, and the first time I was in a personal development seminar, I was like, oh my God, I paid $500 to be here. And now they're pressuring me to pay $3,500 to go to this other thing that's a week long, like, and like, it's all part of the process. But what you become to understand is that there are always opportunities to work with people that are in those positions deeper and deeper and deeper. And those are greater and greater investments in which you make in yourself. And neither one of us had made that sort of investment in our life, right? So we were at the seminar, an offer was made for, it was more than your New York City. It was twice the amount that I was paying in rent. It was double my rent.
Yeah, we would do monthly payments for a year-long mastermind class, and it was it was like just about the same amount of my rent
in Manhattan,
in New York City. Yeah, in Manhattan,
and over twice the amount of my rent in Colorado. So nonetheless, we said, okay, we both committed. We hadn't met each other. So we both committed because we wanted more and because we believed in ourselves and we believed in the opportunity and just where we were at and whatever, right? We made that decision. So it's choice after choice after choice after choice that we made, believing in ourselves, wanting more for ourselves, that ultimately led us. And then it's like, we were at it's probably like an hour cocktail party, maybe 2-hour cocktail party
afterwards. Yeah.
And I was literally grabbing my suitcase to go to the airport with some other chick that I thought the girl that introduced me to her was like trying to hook me up with her. And so I was like, I don't know. I'm getting right to the airport with this girl. Like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm just open for any opportunities.
You and your like friend girl, I don't know, maybe a hookup, like.
Well, and I went from the event to the cocktail
play dumb
thing.
A little bit.
But like I was at that point of my life, I was so not looking for a relationship that literally
Clueless.
And I remember this Marcy chick well, that she was like, oh, you want to ride with me, in my Mercedes, and she lived in La Jolla. And the
seminar was in La Jolla.
I was very clear on what her agenda was. Yeah, so Jonathan Ashbury says, do you think those investments paid off? 100%.
100%.
100%. And here's the issue. Did we make $1 million because we invested 20,000 in ourselves? No, not yet. But can you put a price on our relationship? Can you put a price on, here's the way that I look at it. Sometimes you have to look at, what is it going to cost you if you don't make an investment, right? So often, and I love, who is it? I think Eric Thomas. I think Eric Thomas says, so many people want a money back guarantee. And he's like, you owe you an explanation, right? Like, you owe you. Will you guarantee? Will you give yourself a guarantee? Because what people get twisted is, there are people that invested that same amount of money in that same program with that same person that got less out of it. We know people that spent 20 grand and didn't even go to all of the trainings and everything that they had access to in a year. And then we know people that spent the 20 and they were at every meeting and they were at everything. And, they made 20 grand in a month in their business, but that's because they were in a position to be able to leverage the information to level up their business. And then they invested another 15 and another 15 and another 20, and it just kept going and going and going. And so, yes. Now, have we invested in things that we, don't think that we've gotten our money out of? I don't know.
Or break even, so to speak. Or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like.
And I'll tell you, the things that I don't think that, let's say we just broke even and got our money back for, it's because I didn't go 100% into the program that I paid for. Like, it was on me. Right. It's totally on me. And I know specifically one program and which actually interesting, like I have a lifetime access to this, that now we're finally going back into it
5 years later.
So it's like, but thank God I have the access to it, because right now, in a time where we need it for business and the current situation, I'm like, great. So sure, I didn't get my money back just yet for that. And if you're looking for like dollar to dollar money back, right? No, I think that's. But I have it now.
That's the wrong. The wrong way to. That's just the wrong way to look at it. Right. And
how do you put a price tag on us or our children, or the fact, like, just so many different things. I mean, just being in this industry and network, like, I mean, this isn't about network marketing, but like, just the fact that the two of us are in network marketing, and the opportunities that I had and the money that I did make from network marketing allowed me to live in New York City, allowed me to travel, allowed me to buy a home. I mean, it's so, and all of those courses that I paid along the way allowed me to learn a new business skill to be able to continue to grow my business. So, I mean,
And here's what
and now our business.
I don't know. Because, listen, the information business is like a $300 million a day business, right? There are people investing and buying courses and buying stuff online every day in every niche. And it's only getting more, especially, in 2020 with the technology that we have. And even now with the Corona lockdown. And so when, I don't know, like, I'm inferring a lot from your question, Jonathan, and I hope this is helping. And if you want to clarify further, dialogue, but I don't, I believe that there probably are, like scam artists and snake oil salesmen and like people that, sell information courses and sell, that like sort of like crap online. We've literally, between the two of us, we've spent over 6 figures on personal development and courses in the last 5 to 6 years. I don't know that I feel like I've ever run into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't massively, increase my business because of, or something in my life because of one program. Like Kate said, generally it's because of my own effort. And I think even to increase one area of my life or to learn one more skill for 500 or 1,000 or 5,000 or whatever, To me, generally that's worth it, because it's all, again, it's this compounding interest, right? It's all part of a path. And I think that, I'm sure there's scammers out there. And I think even if you get scammed, or even if you buy some junk course, to me, there's still value in that, because you just learned what to avoid in the future. And I think that is I feel like that's an energetic thing. I feel like people that get scammed, or people that feel like, oh, I got ripped off, or I bought this thing and it didn't work, or whatever, like people that have those experiences, I think that's an energetic thing, because you go into it with the mindset that, like, oh, this stuff's all crap.
Yeah,
and
skeptical.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying this is you, Jonathan. I'm just saying, like, your question prompted these thoughts, is that because I see this stuff all the time, right? My Facebook news feed is full of ads with people that want to sell courses, and want to sell things, and want to sell information products, and want to sell done for you services, and all of this stuff, consulting. And you'll see people inevitably comment like, oh, this guy's a scammer. I mean, people that, negative comments on Tony Robbins ads. And it's like, have you been to one of his events? Have you looked at his body of work over 40 plus years? Have you, seen the tens of thousands of people that have positive testimonials? So I think that if you're out looking to get scammed and to make people wrong, you will certainly find that.
Mhm.
And if you're out looking to better your life and compound your experiences and your investments, one on top of the other, and I'm not talking about, I'm certainly guilty of sort of serial learning, and I want to learn this, and I want to learn this, and blah, 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 like all you can eat buffet of learning. That's not really effective either. It's more effective to focus on an area, learn those skills, become proficient in that, and then figure out the next problem that you need to solve. And I think if you approach it that way, and you're honest, and what you need to work on, and you invest, the internet is now mature enough, and the industry is now mature enough that people that are scam artists and don't really produce results for people have a hard time staying around, because that truth does rise up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You can look at somebody's ads or their page, or, whatever it is. And if you see an overwhelming majority of people having a negative experience, that might be a good indication. But there's several things that I've gotten tremendous amount of value on. And if you were to Google them at surface value, the first personal development course I went to, if you go look up PSI seminars, people say it's a cult. People say that it's it's a scam. And quite frankly,
hugely beneficial.
Thank God that I didn't look into it too much.
Right.
And because I didn't know any of that stuff. All I knew is I looked at their website, I watched their 2-minute video, I went to their presentation, it all resonated with me. I needed to make a change in my life, and I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Had I have went into it, and I've since gone back and I've volunteered and I've helped people and I've coached people through some of their work, and there are people that come in with the preconceived notion that it's a scam, and they're only there because their spouse or their significant other or their family member was basically like, yo, you've got to go to this thing. And they come in thinking it's a scam, and they are so resistant, and they have such a negative mindset about it that they do everything they can to prove themselves right, rather than just setting all that BS down and opening themselves up to the fact that they can have a life-changing experience. So anyway, thanks for asking the question, Jonathan. I hope that's helpful. That's a huge tirade, just because it kind of like poked a piece inside of me that I know, because we're in the industry of online business and network marketing and information products, which tend to have somewhat of a negative rap from people that don't fully understand the gig.
And I think just to tie it back into our chapter of what is it called? I in choice. And sort of these negative things that come up, he says, we fool ourselves into believing that somehow life happens to us.
Yep.
Rather for us to make powerful choices. We are such powerful people, and how we choose to experience life and the choices we make is up to us. We are made or unmade according to our own thoughts and choices. It is in trusting this that allows us to be in choice.
What's that? Read that other part about like, you're not, how do you know you're not in choice?
Oh, yeah. So how do you know you're not in choice? When we tend to move to blame, and it is always about others. When you hear words like they and them, can't, or it's their fault, then we are reacting and not choosing. When you allow a situation, a person, or an emotion to falsely convince you that you don't have a choice, then you have given up your greatest power and you have chosen to give it away. Yeah. I mean, he's like, I know people who have the right to be angry about things that have happened to them, and yet they choose to love, right? Like, going back to that earlier story of Carla and losing her son. So yeah, I mean, like that, and this is again, like in this current situation we're in, we could be like, yeah, life is happening to us. Poor me. This is all bad that's happening. Or we can start to look at like, well, yeah, this isn't really a great situation right now. And yes, I lost my job, or yes, this is going wrong and not how I would like it to be, and blah, blah, blah. Like, but what is also really powerful and beautiful and good about what's happening right now. And if I think about all the things that are good that are happening out of this bad situation, to me, I think they outweigh what's bad. And families are being brought together, relationships are getting stronger, family time is more important, people are becoming more prayerful, God is coming back into people's lives and hearts. People are starting projects and learning things about themselves, or diving into a talent that they had and they didn't have time for before to develop. And now they're actually doing things that they love or they truly enjoy, because or they're learning about something else that they didn't know about themselves that now they're learning and enjoying. Like, those are all beautiful, beautiful things. And yes, people are sick, people are dying. The whole world is on lockdown. Like, this is a big, big situation. Like, I don't dismiss it and I don't make light of that. But I also feel like there's so much good that's coming out of this, that the good that's happening out of this is going to be the long-term good. And long-term is what we want. We want to be out of this long-term in the positive. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. So Jonathan, I just want to clarify on the comment. So first off, thank you for the compliment. So he said, I feel that my time is more valuable than the money I choose to shell out for any option. So I don't know that I really understand that. Are you saying that like your time is more valuable than spending money to like go to seminars and coaching? Or are you just saying like, I'm willing to invest in the coaching or the program or the whatever, like I'm willing to invest my money, but like, I don't want to waste my time in going to something that is a waste. Like, I'm not quite sure like where you're at on the, like, if you're saying that like, no, that stuff's not worth it. It's not about the money. I just don't want to spend my time, sitting in a seminar for 3 days. Is that what you're saying? Or is it that you're fine to invest the money and you're fine to invest the time? You just don't want to waste your time on something that maybe you find out is not worth it. I'm not quite sure where you're coming at from that. I'm kind of assuming it's the second part, that maybe you're a little skeptical about making those type of investments, which I totally understand. And even if this isn't where you're coming from, I'll just pull on that thread for a second, which is that, I get that. And you also have to think about like, if you're not growing and you're not learning and you're not improving your skill set and you're not improving your mindset, you're only going to be so effective with your time, right? You're just going to be as effective with your time as you are right now. Whereas, 3 days and $500 or $1,000 or whatever, 7 days and $5,000, whatever. Those are all sort of common things that we've invested in. I can tell you that my life and the way that I operate, specifically, because I invested whatever it was, $3,500 or something, and went completely off the grid for 7 days and did a leadership seminar that
Off the grid.
Right. There's no
like I couldn't talk to him.
No checking your phone. No, like, oh, I got to catch up on my emails.
Nothing.
Like disconnected and busy from like waking up at 6 a.m. because you've got to be at breakfast and start learning by 7 or 8, and going to bed totally exhausted, at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock that night. And in a couple of cases, like staying up most of the night to, work on some things. Anyway, the point being that like missing out on a week of my life as I knew it, I made way better use of my time and got way better results in my life with how I was spending my time, because I took that week to go work on myself is sort of the point. So I don't know where you're at on that, but in case I inferred properly, or for anybody else that might have that same sort of thought of like, yeah, I'm just too busy, or like my time's too valuable right now to go, worry about this stuff and go learn about my feelings. Just remember that it can be a multiplier in terms of how you're actually using your time.
Like currently, right?
Yeah.
Like it actually, you'll benefit
time strength,
right? Taking those 2-3 days off to come back rejuvenated and more powerful to execute. I feel times money
more whether I got value out of it or not, you don't know if you didn't try. Not all investments work out. Yeah, totally. Not all investments do work out.
So let me ask you though, if you have the mentality that not all investments work out, are you just not going to invest in anything for yourself that could better you? Because there are plenty of any like events like this that do pay off. And we could tell you right now, if you go to a Tony Robbins event, I
see you're connected with my friends, the Wallisons. We have mutual friends, Darren and Joy. So you've probably been talked to about Psy seminars. I have a guess.
And that's been a program that literally like turned Tanner's life around. Like if he didn't go to Psy, like we wouldn't be together, but I mean, there's plenty of resources. And I
did the 3-day and the 7-day and the 10-day. And I volunteered my time to go back and so on and so forth. And so, but listen, here's what it comes down to, quite frankly. Like we're not trying to make you wrong, and thank you for actually having a dialogue about this. I think what it comes down to though, like it sounds to me like you don't want anything different in your life. Like and that's not a bad thing. Like you're happy with your results. And so if that's the case, if you're happy with your results, then, I mean, could it be better? We believe, yes, it can always be better. But if you're happy with your results and you're not seeking for anything more, then it's probably not a good investment. It's probably not a good use of your time, because you're not seeking for something more. But for us, or for me personally, because I can only speak for me, like it was like a multiplier, right? So it's like if there's 24 hours in a day, or I'm working 8 hours a day, and I was at like a 1, and then I went to this seminar, and then all of a sudden, like I'm at a 3, right? Like now I'm 3 times more effective with those 8 hours. And then I went to the next thing and I bumped up to a 4, just because I was sharpening my skills. And let me just give you something tangible from the time from the corporate world. because I was a corporate employee for the majority of my life up until recently. And what I can tell you is in the 4 years that I was in the corporate world, from the time that I started personal development, my salary increased 40%. And I wasn't in sales. I wasn't in any position where that would be sort of a normal thing. I was in a, sort of a standard track of, hey, you're going to get the, 2.5%, 3%. I was a pretty good employee. So usually they give me like the, 3.5% raise. But because I went to personal development, I started making more use or more effective use of my time as an employee. I started asking tougher questions, which got me in front of different people, which meant I was working with, different executives and new executives, which meant I got promoted to a different position and blah, 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 blah. Like I literally, again, it's the spiral. And so if you're looking for a tangible result, because I invested, a few $1,000s and let's just say a month of my time. If you add up all the time of the seminars that I went to, the days that I missed out on work, the travel, over the course of 3 to 4 years, a month worth of time, like you're probably going to spend that on vacation, or quite frankly, you're going to spend that on social media. If you add up all of those little bits of time. So by taking that time, regardless of the money, a 40% increase in a guaranteed salary was just one of my results, if that helps. But if you're not if you're not seeking more, that's what it comes back to. If you're not seeking anything different or more, then there's not really going to be any value there for you.
And the one thing that I've noticed now, because I love when we find the personal development seminars that we can go to, or some kind of business seminar, like I look forward to it. So I love when we can go, but what I've also recognized is that when I go, I learn something that I didn't know that I needed. So it's like, oh, like light bulb, like an idea came to me, or oh, I can implement that skill into what I'm currently already doing. So, like I just end up learning things that I didn't know that I needed to know,
or gaining a relationship. I mean,
right.
aside from us, meeting and marrying and having this story, just simply, I mean, our friend Eric, who we mentioned, that relationship with that guy alone, the relationship with Pete Vargas, who's now running this massive Rise Up World, shout out to the Rise Up World group. If you're not part of that, it's a free group on Facebook right now where there's, $3 million worth of personal development, and speakers that are being given away for free in his group right now, over the next couple of weeks. So like it's one idea, it's one connection. And I think that's the point. But again, that's a mindset thing that you could be one idea, you could be one connection, you could be one, I don't know, that's really it, right? One idea or one connection, one relationship away from having a drastically different outcome on your life. So again, we love it.
All comes down to choice.
I know we're talking about the value of time versus the value of money. But if you look at the value of money, and for us, just by being a small business owner, even if you're a part-time small business owner, those events, the travel, the seminars, that sort of stuff becomes a tax write-off, which is actually, we're talking about money, but that becomes basically a positive use of your money versus just going on a vacation, which is merely just an expense. So anyway, we're not going to sell you on it,
but I'm always looking for more. Cool. Commissions based on, yeah. So I mean, if you're looking for more, it's really just a great way, and to kind of lessen the skepticism, like go with a seminar of some kind that you just, that it, like it works, right? Like that there's just positive, like there are certain people that are out in the forefront who are doing the work and showing that coming and working with them gives results, right? So just start there, and then it just kind of helps to lessen the skepticism around these kinds of events, So
at the end of the day, you do you, follow your inner signal, and
your gut,
a lot of a lot of people have lost touch with that, right?
Yeah.
And so it might not be for you. Totally good. Thanks for engaging. Glad we have
Jonathan.
a mutual connection. We probably met because we were at Darren and Joy's wedding. That was cold. You probably remember.
I was very pregnant.
We were very cold outside. She was very pregnant. I know you certainly look familiar. So thanks for tuning in and dropping by. All right, we've been on. We always do this a little bit longer than we anticipate. What's the final chapter?
Yeah,
here,
I'm going to end with
paragraph
this.
You have highlighted.
Yeah, this nice quote here from Irma Bombeck. She writes, "There are people who put their dreams in a little box and say, 'Yes, I've got dreams. Of course I've got dreams.' Then they put the box away and bring it out once in a while to look in it. And yep, they're still there. When I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left and could say, I used everything you gave me." Whether or not you make choices in any situation, you are in choice. Take the choice out of your little box of dreams and be in choice. It is yours to have. And that's where we're going to end it.
Choice. We all have choice.
We all have choice. We're going to go into personal growth questions tomorrow. There we go. So thanks. And
some chapter that has Donald Trump, Mother Teresa, and Gumby in it. And I'm pretty sure this book was written before Trump was our president. So it'll be very interesting to see what this is about. All right. Thank you so much. Have a happy Easter.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow.
Good rest of your evening. And
we got any music?
No.
Oh,
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, play a little music.
I'll play our outro from we got hope in the world. We missed it. We missed it.
We missed it at the beginning, so we'll end with a little hope in the world tonight.
Just a little round out here. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening.